Chapter 496. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Song Juyue's eyes were cold and twisted. I'm crazy. Crazy people don't need to pay with their lives for killing. Song Juyue glanced at Song Wuyo coldly. You want to call young Master Gu for help? Song Wuyo, save your breath. You must be very curious, right? Let me tell you, I pretended to be a waiter in the restaurant to deliver food to you. In the process, I drugged your food. I gave the woman who helped you into the car some money and asked her to help you get up. And this car, I borrowed it. Ha ha ha. Song Wuyo, it takes a lot of effort to deal with you. But it's okay. You ruined my reputation, so I'll kill you. Ha ha ha. After the car left the city center, it kept driving forward. Then, it went to the suburbs and went around the asphalt road on the mountainside. It kept driving. Song Wuyo wanted to stop Song Juyue, this crazy woman. However, she was drugged and had no strength. She could not control herself at all. Even the car door was locked by Song Juyue, so dizzy, even her vision became blurry. The car was too fast and her vision was blurred. Song Wuyo could only see mountains outside the car. She did not know where she was. If the car lost control and crashed into the guardrail, it would not be as simple as falling off a cliff. In a daze, Song Wuyo suddenly missed Gu Yanhao. Gu Yanhao, come and save me. Damn it, your wife has been cheated. After Gu Yanhao finished inspecting the construction site, he left immediately. Ade followed closely behind. Seeing that he was in a hurry, Ade joked, Young master, are you in a hurry to go back and accompany young madam? Thinking of Song Wuyo, Gu Yanhao was in a good mood. When did you become so smart? Ade, he was always this smart, okay. Gu Yanhao leaned against the back of the seat lazily. He took out his phone and dialed Song Wuyo's number. Hearing the other party's ringtone, Gu Yanhao's lips curved into a faint smile. Thinking that he would be able to hear her voice in a while, the smile in his eyes deepened. He could not help but chuckle softly. Ade looked up at him in the rearview mirror. He glared at Ade. Drive carefully. Ade smiled. The car driving, but no one's phone. A hint of affection flashed across Song Wuyo's eyes. This little woman was probably too tired from being tormented by him. She was probably in a deep sleep now. Even though he knew she was sleeping, he still wanted to know how she was. She didn't answer the phone. She called Su Jing. Su Jing's phone rang for a long time, but no one answered. Gu Yanhao frowned. He did not look too happy. Was her phone not with her? After hanging up on Su Jing, he called Lu Jiming directly. The result was the same. No one answered. Gu Yanhao frowned. They had already started roaming. It was impossible that they did not see his call. Suddenly, Gu Yanhao narrowed his eyes. He used the GPS to find Song Wuyo's location. She was not in the Paris area. Gu Yanhao's face darkened. Oh no. The car finally reached the top of the mountain. This mountain was very high above sea level. There was a road from the foot of the mountain that went around the top. This road was so that people could drive to the top and see the breast forest not far away. Because the road went around the mountainside, it didn't feel that it was steep when driving. Moreover, this road was wide and had 2 lanes. At the top of the mountain, there was a pavilion and a parking lot. At this time, there were not many people at the top of the mountain. A few photographers were holding DSLRs and taking pictures. After stopping the car, Song Juyue pulled Song Wuyo, who had fainted, to the side. The mountain was very steep. People who were afraid of heights would not be able to stand standing at the edge. Someone was about to get their lunchbox. Chapter 497. Song Joyue threw Song Wuyo to the edge. She sat beside her and took off her mask and wig. She looked at the unconscious Song Wuyo. The more she looked at her, the more she felt that her face was an eyesore. Song Wuyo, you bitch. Song Joyue reached out and pinched Song Wuyo's beautiful face hard. The unconscious Song Wuyo's eyelashes trembled. Perhaps it was because of the pain from the pinch, but she slowly regained consciousness. Tell me, should I destroy your face before pushing you down, or should I push you down directly? Song Joyue slapped Song Wuyo hard twice with hatred. The people who came to the top of the mountain were either taking photos or admiring the scenery. Moreover, there were not many people here today, so no one paid attention to Song Joyue. She slapped Song Wuyo wantonly here. Song Wuyo was lying on the ground, so no one would notice. At most, they would think that they were a pair of lesbians. One was drunk, and the other was slapping her to wake her up. Moreover, Song Joyue spoke K-Nation's language, so the locals could not understand. After being pinched and slapped, Song Wuyo woke up from the pain, and her consciousness became much clearer. She opened her eyes. The sun was high up in the sky today, and the sunlight was so bright that it hurt her eyes. She wanted to raise her hand to block the sunlight, but her limbs were so weak that she could not lift them at all. Don't waste your energy. You can't be fierce before the effects of the drug wear off. I know you have martial arts, but what's the use? Song Joyue looked at her with disdain. Do you think martial arts are omnipotent? Invulnerable? Even if you are invulnerable, you can't be immune to poison, right? Song Wuyo had a headache. The sun was glaring, and Song Joyue was still chattering in her ear. She really wanted to slap her away. Song Wuyo, guess what's down there? Song Joyue pointed at the bottom of the cliff and smiled coldly. Forest, tropical forest. So what? Was he going to push her down? If you fall from here, you might not die. But if your body hits a sharp branch, the branch will pierce through your heart and you will definitely die. Was that so? Just the thought of it was terrifying. If you're lucky, you won't be stabbed to death by the branches. Instead, you'll be smashed into a soft pile of grass. Hee, there should be tigers, lions, or even more terrifying beasts lying on the soft pile of grass. Song Joyue's gaze became cold and smug as she looked straight at Song Wuyo. Bitch, tell me, if you were eaten piece by a beast, how great would that be? Bitch again. Hearing this word, Song Wuyo really wanted to send this damned woman flying with a kick. She had harmed her time and time again, plagiarized her work, stole her work, and killed her brother. She had not even settled the score with her, but now she wanted to kill her. That was why one could not be weak as a person. Song Joyue was like a crazy woman, making extremely scary expressions and movements as she spoke. When you fall, your limbs will be broken, and there will be tigers approaching from all sides. You won't be able to struggle or run. You can only watch as the tigers tear you apart. First, it will be your legs, then your arms, then your abdomen. At this time, the scene will definitely be very bloody. Your internal organs and large intestines will be exposed. This is very fun, ha. Song Wuyo frowned and quietly looked at Song Joyue, who was laughing sinisterly. Song Wuyo was flabbergasted when she saw her twisted expression. Had she really gone mad? Chapter 498. Song Joyue, can you stop? Song Wuyo was speechless. No. Song Joyue gave Song Wuyo another slap and said angrily, I still have a lot to say. You can't stop, . Song Wuyo was seeing stars from the slap. She stared at Song Joyue hatefully. Damn woman. Song Jiuyue pulled her hair and stared at her coldly. Song Wuyo, I am the same as you. I have liked Gu Yanhao since I was young. It hurts. Song Wuyo felt so defeated for the first time. She was being bullied and could not fight back. I know you like him. I am afraid that he likes you and not me. That's why Jume and I tried to frame you and ruin your reputation. But why are you still so lucky to be able to marry him? Because he loves me. Song Wuyo frowned and said. Why? Song Jiuyue roared, I am better than you in every way. Why did he marry you and not me? Song Wuyo looked at her quietly. There is no reason to love someone. There is. There is a reason. You are the one who is cheap. You played tricks. You seduced him. Song Jiuyue pulled Song Wuyo's hair and lifted her head. Tell me. What tricks did you use to seduce him? Haha. Song Wuyo really wanted to laugh, but she could not. Looking at Song Jiuyue in this state, she felt that she was very pitiful. She only wanted to pester Gu Yanhao and use her own way to love Gu Yanhao. She boldly expressed her love in front of Gu Yanhao and Grandpa. What tricks did she use? Gu Yanhao was not a fool. How could a woman seduce him? If it was possible, he would have dozens of children by now. Song Jiuyue, why are you so stubborn? Song Wuyo looked deeply at Song Jiuyue. For a man like Gu Yanhao, not just me and you, who knows how many women will love and miss him. They do not hate me as much as you do. You already have Qing Junhua. Why don't you just be a good Mrs. Qing? In the future, when he becomes the president, you can still be the president's wife. Why do you have to bite me? I know that you hate me, but from the day I entered the Song family, I have never gone against your wishes. You hit me and scolded me, hit me. Did I retaliate? I didn't even say a word when I found out that I wasn't that bad and that it was the three of you who did it. Now that you're married to Qing Junhua, can you stop and let me go? Don't mention Qing Junhua to me. Song Jiuyue roared. He's a bad man. Scumbag. Messing around with Qing Wanduo. Scumbag. Scumbag. Young Master Gu is still the best. No matter how good he is still my husband. Song Jiuyue suddenly felt as if she had been pricked by a needle. Her heart was in pain. Why? She cried and looked coldly at Song Wuyo. Why did you come to my house? If you did not come to my house, young Master Gu would not know you. If he did not know you, the woman he married would definitely be me. It seemed that she really loved Gu Yanhao. She cried so sadly. Her tears fell and her expression was sad. Song Wuyo pursed her lips. She did not know why she had returned to the Song family. If Song Nan had not brought her back to the Song family back then, perhaps her fate would have been the same as Su Jing's, growing up in an orphanage or sent to a mental hospital like Ban Jianing. In the end, no matter how much Song Nan did not love her, at least he did not make her situation as miserable as Ban Jianing's. At least she met Gu Yanhao and married Gu Yanhao. Chapter 499. Song Jiuyue cried as she told Song Wuyo about her love for Gu Yanhao. Finally, when it came to Qing Junhua, how could any woman not like a man like Qing Junhua? Actually, she was also interested in Qing Junhua. However, on the night of their engagement, he did not sleep with her. She was deeply affected. When she thought about how Gu Yanhao doted on Song Wuyo and stayed alone in the room, she felt that it was unfair and was unwilling to accept it. She complained that Qing Junhua hated her and was annoyed when he failed to use her to kill Ban Jianing. When her fake pregnancy was exposed, Mrs. G. Air disliked her even more. At the mention of Mrs. G. Air, Song Jiuyue laughed for a long time. She took out her phone and made an international call to Mrs. G. Air. As soon as the other party picked up, she laughed coldly. Gwaji air, your daughter will die in my hands soon. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. When Song Wuyo heard this, she looked at Song Juyue in surprise. What was she talking about? Could she be Mrs. Ji Air's daughter? Weren't she and Jianing the descendants of Ban Dekhang? How did she become Mrs. Ji Air's daughter? M City, Qing Mansion. It was a matter of time. At this time, Qing Jianping and Mrs. Ji Air had just finished their lovemaking. Mrs. Ji Air went to the toilet and the phone on the bedside table suddenly rang. Qing Jianping raised his eyebrows. It was so late, who would call his wife? He did not look at the caller ID and picked up. He did not ask who the other party was and heard the other party say such a sentence. Did you call the wrong number? Qing Jianping said coldly. His wife only gave birth to 2 outstanding sons for him. How could he have a daughter? I didn't call the wrong number. Song Wuyo is the daughter of your wife's sidekick, Dekhang Xing. Song Wuyo is in my hands now. Help me tell Gua Ji Air that I want to kill her daughter. Who asked her to dislike me so much? What nonsense are you talking about? Qing Jianping's expression changed drastically. How could Song Wuyo be Gua Jiao's follower Chongqing's child? Madame Ji Air, who had just come out of the bathroom, heard this roar. The dry towel she was using to dry her hair fell to the ground. Her whole body shook as if she had been hit in the head. Her whole head buzzed. If you don't believe me, you can test their relationship. Hee hee, Song Wuyo is about to die, how can we do a blood test? Oh, don't worry, I'll bring Song Wuyo's hair back to you, haha. Qing Jianping smashed the phone on the ground with a loud bang. Even though the floor was carpeted, the phone still flipped over a few times, and the screen cracked. He raised his head abruptly. His gaze was as sharp as a torch, and the hostility in his body erupted to the extreme. He stared at the dumbstruck Madame Jier and roared, "Speak! What does Song Wuyo and Ban Dekhang have to do with you?" Song Wuyo couldn't accept the fact that she was Mrs. Air's follower, Chongqing. She had always thought that the woman who gave birth to her was murdered together with Ban Dekhang. That was why she and Ban Jianing became orphans. Now, Song Joyue, this damned woman, told her that she was the daughter of Mrs. Air's follower, Ban Dekhang. She didn't believe it. However, seeing how Song Joyue said it in such a dignified manner, it seemed that it was true. Did Mrs. Air know that she was her daughter? Then why did he ignore her all these years and not ask about her at all? Just because of her identity as the madam of the Qing family. For this identity, she didn't even care about her own child. Song Wuyo suddenly felt a chill in her heart. As if she saw the loneliness in Song Wuyo's eyes, Song Joyue sneered. Chapter 500. Song Wuyo, don't you feel relieved now that you know whose child you are? You go find that damn father of yours. Don't worry, I believe that very soon, your silly brother will also go down to find you and reunite with you. With that said, Song Joyue got up and pushed Song Wuyo towards the cliff. If she didn't do anything now, with her skills, would she still be able to kill her after the effects of the drug wore off? Song Wuyo wanted to struggle, but her limbs were weak and she couldn't move. Her body slid down further and further. Looking at the hazy green scene below her, Song Wuyo's vision became even more blurry and dizzy. What drug did you give me? Song Wuyo asked with difficulty. You don't need to know. Song Wuyo, go to hell. Song Joyue pushed her with all her strength. Just like that, Song Wuyo was pushed down. When Song Wuyo fell, she wasn't afraid of death at all. Instead, she was thinking, "Ah-ho, are we going to stop here? Can we still love each other and meet again?" Song Joyue, you damned woman. This place wasn't very far from the forest below. The reason why Song Jiuyue chose this place was because she knew that if she fell from here, she would be injured even if she didn't die. She wanted Song Wuyo to be injured and unable to move. She wanted to watch as the wild beasts approached and ate her up bite by bite. Just thinking about this scene made her very, very excited. Seeing Song Wuyo's figure fall down like a stone, Song Jiuyue stood there and laughed loudly. She laughed one moment and cried the next. The thorn in her side was finally gone, but why couldn't she feel happy at all? She thought about how her reputation had been ruined and how she could no longer stay in the design industry. She thought about how Gu Yanhao would definitely not let her off. She couldn't feel happy at all. She threw her head back and laughed, her laughter filled with sadness. Tears kept flowing from the corners of her eyes, sliding down to her ears and down to her neck. The wind was very strong, ruffling her hair and making her look like a crazy woman who had been abandoned by the world. She had always wanted Song Wuyo to die. Now, she was finally dead. Tired of laughing and crying, Song Jiuyue weakly fell to the ground. Two men with DSLRs came over. Seeing her like this, they gave her a strange look and quickly walked away. The sound of hurried and anxious footsteps approached. Song Jiuyue raised her wet eyes and looked over. Gu Yanhao's tall and straight figure ran over, followed by Ade. She saw that he was nervous. Even when he was nervous, he was still so handsome and charming. Song Jiuyue was heartbroken. Unfortunately, he was not worried about her. As he approached, Song Jiuyue raised her chin and raised her head, revealing an arrogant expression. Song Jiuyue, where's Wuyo? Gu Yanhao stopped in front of her and looked at her condescendingly like an emperor. His whole body was emitting an oppressive aura, and his gaze was cold. Why should I tell you? Song Jiuyue sneered. Ade went forward, grabbed her collar, and shouted, Tell young master, where's young madam? Song Jiuyue did not struggle. Like a deflated ball, she was carried by Ade with her hands hanging by her sides. She did not even look at Ade. In her eyes, Ade was just a loyal dog raised by Gu Yanhao. He was not worthy of her attention. Her gaze fell on the furious man and she smiled coldly. If you answer my question, I'll tell you where Song Wuyo is. If you don't answer, I won't tell you where she is. Chapter 501. Gu Yanhao stared at Song Jiuyue with eyes as sharp as an eagle's. Song Jiuyue, if you hurt Wuyo in the slightest, you'll lose your life too. His words were as cold as ice, as cold as a malicious spirit. His gaze on Song Jiuyue was filled with forbearance and killing intent. Haha, Song Jiuyue's eyes were filled with tears as she cried and laughed at the same time. Hurt her in the slightest. Not just in the slightest. Right now, that bitch should be dead too, right? Have you ever liked me? Song Jiuyue looked at Gu Yanhao sadly. Before you fell in love with Wuyo, did you like me? No. Gu Yanhao coldly replied. These two words were like a sharp knife, mercilessly stabbing into Song Jiuyue's heart. Then tell me, did you tamper with the video of this competition? She still couldn't believe that Song Wuyo had the ability to do so. Gu Yanhao snorted mockingly. I arranged for Jiming to do it. Why? Song Jiuyue's face was filled with tears and despair. The Qing family doesn't want me. I only wanted to use this opportunity to make a comeback. Why didn't you even give me this chance? Where's Wuyo? Gu Yanhao suddenly stepped forward and grabbed her by the collar. He looked at her with bloodthirsty eyes. Where's Wuyo? Ha ha ha. Song Jiuyue threw her head back and laughed in despair. That laughter sounded extremely mournful in the valley. Seeing her ferocious and twisted expression, Gu Yanhao had the urge to push her off the cliff. Speak. Where's Wuyo? Gu Yanhao shook this crazy woman hard. Young Master Gu, at this moment, Lu Jiming staggered over. In the car, he began to regain consciousness. However, his limbs were too weak. He leaned against the car window and watched with his own eyes as Song Juyue pushed his savior down. Lu Jiming came to Gu Yanhao's side. He didn't know if it was because his limbs hadn't recovered or because his heart was in too much pain, but he knelt down with a thump. Gu Yanhao looked down and coldly looked at him. Lu Jiming's hand trembled as he supported his trembling body. He pointed at Song Juyue, who was crying and laughing at the same time. This crazy woman pushed Wuyo, pushed. Oh. Towards the end of his speech, Lu Jiming felt as if he had lost the most precious thing in his life. Gu Yanhao's brain buzzed. He stared at Song Juyue with a murderous look. You pushed her down. Can't I? Song Juyue sneered at him. I know she can fly and jump. So what? I drugged her. She sneered and glanced at Lu Jiming. He can also jump and fight. Even he couldn't resist the drug. Moreover, Song Wuyo is a woman. When I pushed her down, she was in a worse condition than him. She couldn't even stand up. Gu Yanhao, do you want to know what's down there? Forest, ah. Who knows, maybe your wife has already been eaten by the wild beasts. Go to hell. Gu Yanhao exuded a terrifying aura. His eyes were like torches and bloodthirsty. With a wave of his muscular arm, Song Juyue's body was like a kite with a broken string. She spread out her hands and floated down the cliff. She saw the man standing at the edge of the cliff. His tall figure gradually became smaller and smaller. At this moment, Song Juyue was in despair. He had pushed her down with his own hands. At the edge of the cliff, Gu Yanhao was exuding a murderous aura. His face was frighteningly cold. Chapter 502. He turned around and stared at Ade fiercely. Go and find her. You must find her. After that, he strode away like an emperor. Ade followed closely behind him. Lu Jiming, who was still under the effects of the drug, was left kneeling there in a daze. Song Wuyo felt that she was really lucky. He fell from above and smashed into a very big tree that he couldn't tell the name of. Her petite body was supported by 2 tree branches that were like arms. However, there were still a few wounds on her body due to the rubbing of the branches without leaves. She was bleeding. Moreover, she fell heavily. When her body hit the branches, it was as if she had hit a concrete surface. It was so painful that she felt as if her bones were falling apart. Ah! She wanted to move, but she could not. What kind of drug did this damned Song Juyue give her that her limbs were still numb? Since she could not move her body, she did not move anymore. She lay quietly on the branches and waited for the effects of the drug to subside. From time to time, she could hear the sounds of birds, cows, and tigers. If she had the body in her previous life, she would not be afraid of wild beasts with weapons. However, this body was not as good as the previous one. She could knock down a wall with one punch. Moreover, she did not have any weapons with her. Even the pocket pistol that she always carried was left in the hotel. If she fell like this, she would not be able to resist the wild beasts that surrounded her. Suddenly, she was a little scared. She was not afraid of death. She was afraid that she would leave this world and never see Gu Yanhao's face again. Please don't, Song Wuyo obediently let her body hang on the branches. She did not dare to move. Even though the effects of the drug were gradually subsiding and her limbs were slowly recovering, swoosh, 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 suddenly, the entire tree shook violently, and even her body swayed. Before Song Wuyo could react, she heard a woman's voice. Ah! She looked in the direction of the voice. There was a woman hanging on the branches. Song Woo-yo was shocked. Song Jo-yue. Song Jo-yue hung on the end of the branch, and the branch swayed. You're committing suicide. Song Woo-yo turned her head and looked at Song Jo-yue in surprise. Song Jo-yue grabbed another branch with both hands to prevent herself from falling to the ground. Your husband pushed me down. Song Jo-yue's eyes were filled with pain. He actually pushed me down, Gu Yenhao. Song Woo-yo's eyes lit up when she heard this. If he knew that she had fallen, he would definitely come to save her. He was so capable that the wild beasts here were no match for him. She was waiting for him to save her. Song Woo-yo, you're really lucky. Song Jo-yue was in tears. You're still alive even after all this. If you don't do bad things and accumulate good fortune, how can you not be lucky? You don't do bad things. You killed Jomei and my mother. Song Jo-yue was a little agitated. She spoke loudly. Her body swayed even more, and the branch swayed even more. When I returned to the Song family, did I hit or scold you? If you didn't go overboard, none of this would have happened. In the end, you can't tolerate me. Of course, you're just the child of a mistress. Song Woo-yo sneered. If I could choose my birth, I would still want to be a princess. You shouldn't have married Master Gu. We love each other. Why shouldn't we? Song Woo-yo turned her head and looked at Song Jo-yue indifferently. You're too extreme. Love doesn't exist. Chapter 503. Ha! That shouldn't be the case. He didn't care about my life at all and pushed me down. Song Woo-yo said, in his heart, you're not his lover, his friend, or his sister. Why should he care about your life? Song Jo-yue, Song Woo-yo said, although we're not biological sisters, in the end, I've lived in the Song family for so long and have always called you big sister. Didn't you also ignore my life and push me down? Whoa! At this moment, a terrifying sound came from the tree. Song Jo-yue trembled in fear and the branch swayed even more. She and Song Woo-yo were hanging on the same tree branch. However, Song Woo-yo was lucky. She was hanging not far from the branch and her legs were supported by another tree branch. Her position was better. Song Jo-yue was not so lucky. She was hanging at the end and the branch was very thin. Because of the weight, it even hung down. In order to prevent herself from falling, she could only grab another branch tightly. Hearing the sound of a wild beast and that it was right below her, Song Jo-yue subconsciously turned around in fear and trembled even more. The branch swayed. 2 lions. Song Jo-yue was so frightened that her face turned pale and she grabbed the branch tightly. However, because she had trembled violently just now, the branch swayed violently and a crack appeared between her and Song Woo-yo. Hearing the squeaking sound, she was even more frightened. Her hands, which were grabbing the branch, were trembling. The more she trembled, the more the branch swayed. The crack where the crack appeared opened even more. Stop! Don't move! Song Woo-yo saw that her body was about to fall and wiped her sweat for her. Lions, 2 lions. Song Jo-yue broke out in cold sweat. Compared to Song Jo-yue's panic, Song Woo-yo was calmer. She looked at Song Jo-yue seriously. Song Jo-yue, close your eyes and don't look down. Ah! A lion was below Song Jo-yue. It raised its head, opened its mouth, and roared at her, scaring Song Jo-yue so much that she screamed. Calm down. Seeing that the wound was getting bigger and bigger, Song Woo-yo tried to move her body. Damn it, why did the effect of the drug last for so long? Song Jo-yue, if you move again, you'll fall. Song Wuyo suddenly shouted, "Shut your mouth and eyes. You are so high above the ground that even the biggest lions can't jump up. If you fall, you will become their delicious meal." Song Juyue finally calmed down after being yelled at by Song Wuyo. She grabbed another branch to stabilize herself. "Gu Yanhao knows that I fell and will come and save me. Don't let yourself fall and wait for him to save you," Song Wuyo said. Will he save me?" Song Wuyo was so afraid that her voice was trembling. Roar, roar, the two lions were restless under the tree. They raised their heads and roared at the people on the tree. Hearing their cries, the two women on the tree were terrified. Goosebumps broke out all over their bodies and their scalps turned numb. "Although he doesn't like you, he won't leave you in the lurch," Song Wuyo frowned and said angrily. "This damn beast, what are you roaring for? It's so noisy that people are panicking and uncomfortable." "Song Wuyo, don't you hate me very much at this time?" Song Juyue asked. Chapter 504. Hating you and not wanting to see you die are two different things. In order to reduce everyone's panic, Song Wuyo answered all the questions. "Just now, I was in despair. The man I've liked since I was young sent me here personally," Song Juyue said in a choked voice. Song Wuyo said, "Song Juyue, we'll be together forever. If Gu Yanhao marries me, he won't like you. If he likes you, he won't marry me. You're so extreme. It won't do you any good." Song Juyue said, "Yes, it won't do me any good. If we had accommodated and accepted you from the beginning, the Song family wouldn't have fallen to this point today. If I had thought it through and let go early, I wouldn't have been hung here, frightened and in a sorry state." Song Wuyo said, "Compared to Song Jume, you're not completely bad." Song Juyue was stunned when she heard this. She had always wanted her to die, but she said that she was not completely bad. "I finally know why he likes you so much. It's because you dare to love and hate." Song Juyue looked sad. "I like him too, but I'm afraid of him. I don't dare to pester him every day like you do and attract his attention. Especially when I meet his eyes, I'm so scared that I don't dare to say anything. As for you, even if he treats you coldly, ignores you, and gives you a cold gaze, you're not afraid. You work so hard. Shouldn't he marry you? Why do I have to be so extreme?" What? Suddenly, a lion roared loudly, scaring Song Juyue so much that she trembled and the branch shook. Squeak squeak, with a shake, the broken hole made another sound. "Ah! I'm falling, I'm falling." Song Juyue grabbed the branch tightly. Song Wuyo looked at the hole. It was getting bigger and bigger, and the tip of the tree was even sticking out. Gu Yanhao was not an idiot. He would not jump down from above to save her. She didn't know how long it would take for him to arrive. She didn't know if this wound could last until he arrived. "You don't look fat. Why are you so heavy?" In order to reduce Song Juyue's fear, Song Wuyo tactfully attacked her. Creak, the hole opened wider, and the branches drooped lower. Song Juyue felt her body sink and stagger. She screamed in fright. "Try not to move." Song Wuyo moved her body and tried to pull Song Juyue to her side. Her branch was thick enough to bear the weight. "It's about to break, it's about to break." Song Juyue watched as the crack grew bigger and bigger. She was so scared that her face turned green and her body trembled. It was really about to break. It was shaking too much. Song Wuyo was anxious. She grabbed the branch with one hand and pulled Song Juyue with the other. Before Song Wuyo could grab Song Juyue, the branch broke. At the critical moment, Song Wuyo pulled Song Juyue's arm. Song Jiuyue's body hung in midair. If not for Song Wuyo pulling her, she would have fallen to the ground like a broken branch. Save me. Song Wuyo, save me, ah. Roar, the two lions below jumped up, scaring Song Jiuyue so much that she bent her legs. The lion jumped very high and almost bit her foot. Song Wuyo felt a sharp pain in his arm when she swayed. Don't move. Song Wuyo frowned. Because she had used too much strength, her face was a little distorted. Roar, roar, the lion did not bite Song Jiuyue once, but it did not give up and continued to pounce on her. Chapter 505. Ah. Song Jiuyue was so frightened that she raised her leg and looked up at Song Wuyo for help. Don't let go. Save me, don't move. Song Wuyo grabbed the tree beneath her with one hand and Song Jiuyue with the other, pulling her up with all her might. However, because the effect of the medicine had not completely subsided, her limbs were a little numb. It was quite difficult and painful to pull Song Jiuyue. Her body also drooped with gravity. Ah! Ah! Song Jiuyue screamed in fear and her eyes darted around. The lion knew that it could not catch any delicacies when it jumped up just now, so it exerted its strength again. The top of its head touched Song Jiuyue's foot, scaring Song Jiuyue so much that she cried out. Her body kept moving and she pulled Song Wuyo down a lot. Song Wuyo's arm hurt and she could not pull Song Jiuyue up with one hand. She could only hook her foot on another tree branch and extend her other arm. She grabbed Song Jiuyue with both arms and pulled her up with difficulty. She was too heavy and could only be lifted up a little. Her feet that were hooked on the tree branch hurt. She closed her eyes and exerted strength. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not successfully pull Song Jiuyue up. Instead, the foot that was hooked on the tree branch felt pain and loosened, and she fell forward. Ah! Ah! Her body fell, scaring Song Jiuyue so much that she screamed repeatedly. Song Wuyo abruptly let go of one of his hands and grabbed the tree trunk to stabilize the two of them from falling. They had just been lifted up a little when they returned to their original position. Their movements aroused the lion's interest. The two lions took turns to jump up. The situation was very dangerous. Every time the lions jumped up, they were so scared that they were sweating. They were just a little bit away from biting Song Jiuyue. Song Wuyo used all her strength to lift Song Jiuyue up. However, God seemed to like to play tricks on them. The branches and the trunk of the tree began to break. Squeak squeak, hearing the sound, Song Wuyo's face changed. If the branch holding her up broke, she and Song Jiuyue would be eaten by the lion. Don't panic. Try to stabilize your body, don't sway, and try to raise your legs. Song Jiuyue, the whole branch is about to break. If you continue to swing it around, it will increase its tolerance. We will all become food for them. When Song Jiuyue heard this, she did not dare to scream and hurriedly raised her legs. The lion must have been tired from jumping. It raised its head under Song Jiuyue and drooled. Seeing that they had stopped jumping, Song Wuyo heaved a sigh of relief and said, "They're tired and won't jump anymore. I'll slowly pull you up now." Just as she spoke, the branch opened even more and the two of them swayed. Song Jiuyue looked up at that position. Even if Song Wuyo had the strength to pull her, the branch might not last for so long. Song Jiuyue looked at Song Wuyo, who was sweating profusely and whose face was red from pulling her. At this moment, the branch was about to break, but she was still holding on tightly. Wasn't she just sending herself into danger? This woman was really stupid. If she did not pull her and she fell, the lion would run away after eating its fill. She could lie comfortably on the tree and wait for the man who loved her to save her. Song Woo-yo, why are you trying so hard to save me? Song Joo-yue asked softly. I can't leave you in the lurch. I've harmed you everywhere and hoped for your death. Why don't you hate me? You're my elder sister. At this time, I don't hate you. Chapter 506. Do you still hate me after saving me? As long as you don't provoke me and let me live a peaceful life, I'll treat you like a queen. I like your husband, how can you be so magnanimous? Song Joo-yue, it's your business whether you like him or not. What's important is whether he likes you or not. Also, you're my elder sister, I can't not save you at a time like this. Song Woo-yo felt uncomfortable all over and frowned. What drug did you give me? My body hasn't fully recovered yet. Creak, the crack in the branch opened again. Their bodies swayed again. Song Woo-yo had been holding Song Joo-yue's hand for so long that it seemed like she had used up all her strength. Her hand that was holding onto her arm began to slip. Song Woo-yo, let go. Song Joo-yue suddenly looked as if she was facing death with equanimity. No. Song Woo-yo's fingers clenched tightly. Her arm was in so much pain that it felt like it was about to break. If you don't let go, you'll die. If I let go, you'll die too. Song Joo-yue suddenly laughed when she heard this. Do you want to die with me? Don't talk, I don't have the strength to respond to you. Song Woo-yo's little face was scrunched up. Let go. Song Joo-yue suddenly raised her voice. If you let go of me, the branch won't break. I'll pull you up. Song Woo-yo, promise me that you'll give all my love to young Master Gu. Song Joo-yue lifted the hand that was not held by Song Woo-yo and placed it on the back of Song Woo-yo's hand. Song Woo-yo was shocked. She knew what Song Joo-yue was going to do. She glared at Song Joo-yue. Don't do anything stupid. Song Joo-yue smiled at her. This smile was the first one that came from the bottom of her heart since they met. Song Woo-yo was shocked. Her heart clenched. You must promise me to give my love to young Master Gu as well. He is an outstanding man. Don't let other women snatch him away. Song Woo-yo's grip tightened as she bit her lower lip. She wanted to use her feet to hook onto the tree and lift Song Joo-yue with both hands, but her body leaned forward too much. Her feet could not hook onto the tree, and she even lost one of her shoes. Don't waste your energy. Song Woo-yo, if you leave this place alive, take care of Dad for me. Although he is not your biological son, he has raised you for so many years. Ching Junhua has already withdrawn his investment in the Song Enterprise. Without his money, the Song Enterprise will have a cash flow problem and go bankrupt. Promise me that you won't let the Song Enterprise go bankrupt. That was her father's hard work. You must promise me. Song Joo-yue smiled again. I will give you and young Master Gu my blessings. You must make young Master Gu happy and give birth to many children for him. Don't do anything that makes him sad. Otherwise, I will not let you off in the afterlife. Song Woo-yo bit her lower lip hard. Although she could not speak, she had already promised Song Joo-yue. Song Joo-yue's words made her heart clench tightly. After Song Joo-yue finished speaking, she started to use her long and sharp nails to pinch the back of Song Woo-yo's hand. Song Joo-yue, stop it. A wave of pain came. Song Woo-yo could not hold on any longer. Song Woo-yo, I envy you. Song Joo-yue smiled gently and applied more force with her nails. Ah! The pain made Song Woo-yo scream. Her 5 fingers trembled slightly, and Song Joo-yue fell. Song Joo-yue, Song Woo-yo stretched out her arm again, but she could no longer catch Song Joo-yue. Song Joo-yue fell to the ground with a thud. No! She let Song Joyue get her lunchbox like this. Chapter 507. Just as Song Joyue fell, the two lions suddenly pounced at Song Joyue. Song Wuyo screamed, "No! Don't!" She almost wanted to jump down and save Song Joyue. However, her rationality told her that she could not protect herself in her current situation. If she went down, she would only die. Hiss, hiss, the two lions seemed to have been hungry for years. One bit Song Joyue's hand and the other bit her leg, tearing it apart. Song Wuyo widened her eyes in disbelief and looked at this bloody scene in fear. When the lion pounced, Song Joyue's gaze was fixed on Song Wuyo. There was even a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. Even when the lion pounced on her and bit her, she was still smiling at her and moving her lips. However, Song Wuyo understood what she was talking about. "Wuyo, I don't hate you anymore. Forgive me for hurting you in the past. You're not allowed to leave young Master Gu for the rest of your life. Take care of Dad for me and protect his hard work." Song Wuyo's mind buzzed. Her wide eyes gradually became misty and her vision gradually blurred. Her world seemed to have frozen, but Song Joyue's world was still going on. The thick smell of blood spread in this damp forest and attracted two lions. The four lions, the one lying on Song Joyue and the one kneeling beside Song Joyue, only had one goal, no matter what posture they were in. They took one bite at a time, eating the delicious meal in their eyes. "Sister," Song Wuyo closed her eyes. At this moment, her heart ached and her mind was muddy. The scenes of her and Song Joyue floated in her mind. Although Song Joyue had harmed her time and time again, she had never wanted her to die. If she wanted her to die, would Song Joyue still be alive? Those were the feelings left behind by the original owner. No matter what, she was still her elder sister. Exposing her in the fashion competition was to teach her a lesson. It was to teach her that she shouldn't have stolen the works. It was to teach her that she had hurt Ban Jianing. It was to teach her that she had released the video of Mu Axayan taking a bath, which made Mu Axayan sad and be criticized by others. However, she had never wanted her to die. This was not the result she wanted, no. Without Song Joyue's weight, the branch no longer shook, nor did it break immediately. Song Wuyo hung there quietly, sad and heavy. Rustling sounds rang in her ears. Those beasts were eating with relish. When the lion was full, it licked the blood at the corner of its mouth with its tongue, shook its tail and left in satisfaction. Another group of carnivorous beasts came. Time was hard to endure, but it would always pass. After an unknown amount of time, there was no more movement below, and the smell of blood gradually faded. Song Wuyo, who had closed her eyes, slowly opened her eyes. In the grass below, there was a pool of blood. Song Joyue's clothes were torn in small pieces. They were all dyed red by the shoes, and the color and pattern could not be distinguished. The shoes that she had dropped in Song Joyue's shoes were also bitten. It was a tragic sight. Even if she had been on the battlefield for 8 years, she had seen more corpses than she had eaten rice. However, today's scene made her feel frightened for the first time. She was so disgusted that she wanted to vomit. She was so sad that she felt heavy. Gone. The Song Joyue who had always disliked her was gone. At this time, Song Wuyo's body had recovered. The effects of the medicine had disappeared, and her limbs were flexible. However, her whole body was in pain. She carefully sat herself on a big branch. At this time, there was movement behind her. She thought that another beast was coming, so she turned her head to look. It was a person. Someone was coming this way. Chapter 508. She was delighted. thinking that it was Gu Yanhao. Then, she shouted in that direction, Gu Yanhao. Gu Yanhao, I'm here. When the other party heard the commotion, they quickly came over. When they got closer, Song Wuyo realized that the person was not Gu Yanhao, but a few men who looked like locals. 5 people appeared one after another. They were all dressed in dark brown military uniforms with a pair of long black leather boots. One of them was even wearing a long coat outside. Each of them was holding a submachine gun, and they were all tall and mighty. And all of them were very handsome. They had high noses and deep blue eyes. Looking at their faces, one could tell that they were French. They stood under the tree. Some of them were looking at Song Wuyo, while others were looking at the pile of blood on the grass. Seeing the sorry state on the ground, the man in the long coat raised his eyebrows and looked up at Song Wuyo. Your companion was eaten by a beast. Looking at the blood-stained shoes, it should be a woman who was eaten by a beast. Why were 2 women here? Were they here to shoot a commemorative film? Even if it was a commemorative film, there would be a team to take safety measures. The other party spoke French, and Song Wuyo could not understand anything. This group of people were soldiers who were here to train. When they heard the woman's scream from afar, they started to walk towards the woman's direction. Unexpectedly, they were still too late. Someone had been killed. I'm from K country, Song Wuyo said. Oh, so you're from the beautiful K country. The man in the long coat used a stiff and awkward K country language to communicate with Song Wuyo. Song Wuyo did not expect someone to understand her. She was delighted and came down from the tree. The man in the long coat walked over and wanted to carry her down. Song Wuyo refused and jumped down from the tree. When she landed, she staggered because of the pain in her body. The man in the long coat reached out and supported her. Why are you and your companion here? The man in the long coat asked in confusion. Song Wuyo subconsciously raised her head and looked at the sky. When everyone saw her actions, they immediately understood what was going on. Everyone's eyes flashed with astonishment. Could it be that they had fallen from above? They knew very well what kind of terrain it was. Let's leave quickly. There are many wild beasts here, especially in the afternoon. The man in the long coat grabbed Song Wuyo and walked in the direction they came from. Song Wuyo wanted to struggle, but the man didn't give her a chance. He dragged her forward quickly. With only one shoe on, she walked with great difficulty. The man in the long coat suddenly stopped and glanced at her feet. Then, he threw the gun to an accomplice beside him and carried Song Wuyo horizontally. Yup, Song Wuyo looked at the man in surprise. If we don't leave now, the beasts will come out and besiege us. No matter how many guns we have, we won't be able to eliminate them one by one. Moreover, some animals can't be hurt. Song Wuyo looked at the man. The man's skin was the color of honey, and his facial features were deep and exquisite. He was a very handsome man. There were so many wild beasts here. If Gu Yanhao came over, wouldn't it be very dangerous? My husband will come and save me. Song Wuyo said anxiously. Your husband will only die if he comes here. No. You're a noisy woman. He knows I'm here. He will come and save me. The man in the long coat disliked Song Wuyo's noise and gave his accomplice a look. His accomplice understood and took out a pistol from his waist and fired a shot at Song Wuyo's arm. This was not a bullet but an anesthetic needle. The pain was like an ant bite. Song Wuyo's eyes widened. Then, her vision turned black and she fainted. Chapter 509. Less than 10 minutes after Song Wuyo was rescued by a few men, Gu Yanhao and a group of people appeared under the towering tree. Gu Yanhao's hawk-like eyes scanned the surroundings sharply. Wherever he went, it would become desolate. He did not find Song Wuyo, but he saw blood and torn clothes beside the tree in the haystack. Seeing this scene, Gu Yanhao was shocked. His heart began to tremble. He stood there straight, lowered his head, and stared at the torn clothes and 3 shoes. One of them belonged to his wife, Song Wuyo. The torn clothes were covered in dried blood. He could not tell if it was Song Juyue or Song Wuyo's. No. Impossible. This blood did not belong to Song Wuyo. Gu Yanhao did not believe that Song Wuyo had been killed. He did not believe it. However, his heart was filled with fear and panic. Young master. Ade went forward and looked at Gu Yanhao with a complicated expression. Search everywhere. You must find her. Gu Yanhao clenched his fists, and the muscles on his face were tense. His heart was clenched tightly. The blood on the ground and the torn clothes told him that a bloody scene of a wild beast eating a human was played out here. There was a lot of blood and pieces of bones. He could not tell if it belonged to one person or 2, just the thought of that scene made his heart tremble and tremble. His woman, his woman. He just wanted his woman lying here helplessly watching the wild beasts approach. Just thinking about the wild beasts surrounding his woman and biting her made his face turn pale. Even if we have to overturn the entire forest, we must find Song Wuyo. Gu Yanhao shouted. Ade did not dare to be negligent and ordered the others to search everywhere. Young master, this blood, it's not Song Wuyo. All of a sudden, Gu Yanhao glared at Ade. It's not hers. He pushed the Song Juyue down. It was that damned woman. Gu Yanhao's sharp eyes scanned the surroundings. Wah! Behind him, a lion's roar suddenly sounded. Ade tensed up and turned around. Oh my god, not just one, but a group of them. Seeing these lions, Gu Yanhao's evil aura became even more obvious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Gotcha, gotcha. He raised the gun in his hand and fired at the lion before it could get close. Bang! Bang! There was a road in the forest that led to a nearby village and then to the city. This was not a forbidden forest. Bold people would personally come here to film commemorative films, and soldiers would come here to train. Safety measures were taken around the forest. The animals inside could only move in the forest and could not walk out of the forest to hurt people outside. These 5 people drove a military vehicle that was as strong and safe as a tank. Just as they arrived in front of the car, they heard gunshots in the forest. A man looked at the man in long clothes who was carrying Song Wuyo and asked in French, "Chief, could it be that the person who saved her went inside?" The man in long clothes said, "I'll bring her to a nearby village. Go and tell them that one of them is not dead." All right. The man in long clothes put Song Wuyo into the car and left with his 2 accomplices, leaving behind a car and 2 accomplices. The man in long clothes started his war chariot and drove slowly on the bumpy road. One of the men who stayed behind said to the other man, "The other party should have imported from the southeast." Chapter 5:10. Drive over there and take a look. I'll go in and meet them. Okay. They had tranquilizer guns and tranquilizer knives. Moreover, they had been in and out of such places for many years. Dealing with wild beasts was like dealing with annoying women. They could easily get rid of them. The more they couldn't find any trace of Song Wuyo, the more terrified Gu Yanhao became. It was already afternoon. If they stayed any longer, it would be dark. When it was dark, wild beasts would appear more frequently. They didn't know how many wild beasts they had killed. The more they killed, the more nervous Gu Yanhao became. Where exactly was Song Wuyo? Young master, Perhaps young madam has left this place, or perhaps she has been rescued by someone, Ade said when he saw Gu Yanhao's pale face. He couldn't find Song Wuyo at all. That silly woman doesn't know a single foreign language. If someone rescued her, she would communicate with them. Do they know that she is Gu Yanhao's wife from K country? Gu Yanhao said in a low voice. As long as she has been rescued, young master will have a way to find her, Ade said. It was good that she had been rescued. He didn't dare to think further. His entire heart was filled with pain and fear. Shao, a whistle came from afar. Ade and the others thought that it was some strange animal and looked in that direction cautiously. Shao, the sound was heard again. Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows when he heard it. Ade said, "Young master, it's a whistle made by a human." Gu Yanhao lifted his leg and strode in that direction. He walked very hurriedly. His tall figure shuttled through the forest. Soon, he saw a man walking towards him. The man's military uniform matched the leaves of the forest. "Are you looking for your woman?" The soldier asked Gu Yanhao loudly before he got close. Gu Yanhao ran forward and looked at the soldier in front of him excitedly. "You saved her." The man spread his hands. "It's a pity that we only saved one woman. Oh, the other one has been killed." "What about her? Where is she?" Gu Yanhao suppressed his excitement and looked at the soldier anxiously. "Our chief brought her back." "Is she injured?" The soldier thought for a while and shook his head. "No, she can still jump from the tree." Gu Yanhao's eyes flashed. "Does she not speak French?" The soldier nodded. "Yes, she's too cute. She used K Nation's language to communicate with our chief. Our chief found her noisy and anesthetized her." When Gu Yanhao heard this, his hanging heart finally relaxed. Because of his excitement, his breathing was a little rough. The person he had saved was Song Wuyo. Only that silly woman did not know French. Song Jiuyuan knew French, English, and German. The person the other party had saved was Song Wuyo. He went forward and held the soldier's hand tightly. "Thank you very much." It seemed to be the first time the soldier had his hands held by a man. He was stunned at first, then quickly withdrew his hand. Turning around, he said as he walked, "I'm more familiar with this forest. Follow me. It won't be a waste of time." Gu Yanhao followed closely. Ade followed behind him and said excitedly, "Young master, that's great. Young madam is safe and sound." Knowing that Song Wuyo was saved, the fear in Gu Yanhao's chest disappeared and was replaced by excitement and gratitude. He curled his lips and glanced at Ade coldly. "Silly." Ade blinked. "Young master, are you sure you're talking about me and not you?" Chapter 5:11. Suddenly, a wave of pain hit her. Song Wuyo, who was in a coma, suddenly opened her eyes and fiercely fought back against the attacker. In the face of her sudden movement, the man who injected her jumped back. Song Wuyo, who had just woken up, saw that the other person was a stranger. Her vigilance suddenly increased. Her body suddenly bounced up from the bed, and her fist attacked the man. The tall and burly man nimbly dodged, and from time to time, he also counterattacked. "Oh, my God, aren't you afraid that God will blame you for treating your savior like this?" the man said while dodging Song Wuyo's fierce attacks. His stiff and non-standard K language was understood by Song Wuyo. Song Wuyo suddenly stopped, stood there, and looked at the man in front of her in surprise. The man's delicate facial features were angular, and there was a hint of masculinity in his sexiness. He was different from his companions in the forest. His hair and eyes were brown, and the bridge of his nose was very high. He gave off the feeling of an Italian handsome man. The words just now were spoken in a dense and gentle voice, but also full of magnetism. His lips were slightly pursed, and the corners of his lips were slightly raised. It was very beautiful. The man was still wearing his tea-green military uniform, but he had taken off his outer coat. This made his body look more slender and straight. The black leather boots on his feet were especially eye-catching. Song Woo-yo knew that he was the one who brought her back to this safe house from the wild forest. But, Song Woo-yo glanced at the syringe in his hand and said warily, "What did you inject me with?" "You're too noisy, so I put you under anesthesia. The drug I injected you with just now is to disperse the anesthesia. Otherwise, how could she wake up so quickly?" "Where is this?" Song Woo-yo raised her head and looked around. She was in a clean, modern, simple, and European-style room. "Forest Village," the man said. Song Woo-yo was shocked. "We're still in the forest." "No, this is a village called Forest Village." The man saw that Song Woo-yo didn't speak French, so he could only give her a simple introduction. "Oh." Song Woo-yo walked to the window, pushed open the curtains, and looked out. This was a quiet village with small wooden houses in an irregular pattern. The environment was extremely beautiful. In the distance, there were mountain peaks and forests in front of them. In front of the window, there were creepers. The creepers climbed the walls of the courtyard and the windowsill. In the courtyard, there were all kinds of flowers and plants. Some of the flowers were blooming, and it was a beautiful sight. From the house to the outside of the courtyard, there was a curved wooden road. The rest of the area was filled with the tender grass of the green camp. After looking around, Song Woo-yo turned around and asked the man, "Is this your home?" The man said, "Well, you can say that." He often appeared in the vicinity with his brothers, so he bought this small wooden house. When he came here, he would stay here for a few days. Sort of. What a strange answer. But Song Woo-yo didn't think much of it. Instead, she asked, "What's your name?" The man smirked. "You can call me Maupassant." "My name is, sir." Someone outside called out to Maupassant in French. "I'll go out for a while." "Okay." Song Woo-yo nodded. Maupassant went to the living room. The living room was still decorated simply with a hint of European style. It was a very quiet environment. His accomplices were all in the living room. There were also two tall men, Gu Yenhao and Ade. When he saw Gu Yenhao, Maupassant's eyes flashed with surprise. When he saw him, Gu Yenhao couldn't help but go forward. "Where is she?" Chapter 5:12. Maupassant looked at Gu Yenhao. "You're her husband?" Gu Yenhao nodded. "Yes." Maupassant turned sideways. "She's inside." "Thank you." Gu Yenhao strode past Maupassant and into the room behind him. After Maupassant went out, Song Woo-yo, whose whole body was sore, returned to the bed and sat down. She wondered if Gu Yenhao would find her here. She lowered her head and looked at her bare feet. Only then did she remember that she had lost one of her shoes in the forest. She wondered if he would think that she had been killed when he saw that she had lost her shoe and Song Woo-yo's clothes. How silly! Song Woo-yo suddenly came to a realization. How could she be so stupid? She could have asked for Maupassant's phone number and contacted Gu Yenhao. She could have told him that she was not killed and that she was still alive. She got up abruptly. She wanted to go out and ask Maupassant for her phone. As soon as she got up, she saw a man rushing in. "Gu, Song Woo-yo." Gu Yenhao hugged her tightly. He hugged her small body tightly in his arms. He wanted to rub her into his blood and bones so that they would not be separated for the rest of their lives. His arms were trembling. His heart was beating fiercely. You scared me to death, Gu Yanhao said in a low voice. He said emotionally, damn it, you don't know how scared I was. I'm sorry. Song Wuyo hugged his waist tightly and buried her face deep in his chest. Oh, I'm sorry for making you worry. It's not just worry. It's the first time in my life that I'm so scared. I'm scared that you'll leave me and never appear again. I'm sorry. You woman. Gu Yanhao held her face with both hands and kissed her. This kiss was filled with the excitement of regaining what he had lost, as well as the excitement of surviving a calamity. It was a hurried kiss. She sucked and nibbled hard, kissing Song Wuyo's lips until they hurt. He plundered her breath until her breathing became erratic and her entire body went limp. Only then did he release her. But the hands that were holding her face tightened, almost crushing her face. He lowered his head, and his pupils widened as if he wanted to suck her into his eyes. He looked straight at her. When I saw that paralyzed blood, I was so scared that I almost stopped breathing. Song Wuyo's eyes darkened. That belongs to Song Juyue. I was the one who pushed her down. I know. She said so. Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows. She didn't die. Song Wuyo couldn't help but want to laugh when she thought of the scene where they were hung on the tree. But when she thought of the scene where Song Juyue was killed, her chest felt stuffy and her heart felt heavy. She looked at Gu Yanhao. We're lucky that we didn't die. There was a big tree below us, and the branches supported us. Stupid woman, you're the lucky one, not the rest of you. Song Wuyo pursed her lips. Yes, I'm very lucky. No matter how she died, she could not die. Even if she died, she could still come to this world and be doted on by a man. She was very lucky. Gu Yanhao saw that her arms were stained with blood and there were many thin scars. He felt sorry for her and checked her anxiously. Are there any serious injuries? No. It's so cold. Why are you barefoot on the wooden floor? Gu Yanhao carried her up and let her legs wrap around his waist. He held her buttocks with both hands. You don't even have a carpet. Gu Yanhao said unhappily. Song Wuyo hooked her arms around the man's neck and smiled. They saved my life. It's already very good. You're still complaining about this and that. Chapter 5:13. Oh my God, you have to be careful. This is the wooden house we're staying in, not a hotel. You can't have sex here. Maupassant came in and saw them in such an ambiguous position, so he quickly interrupted them. Maupassant spoke in French, so Song Wuyo couldn't understand. Seeing him come in, she quickly let go of Gu Yanhao and got off him. Thinking about their position just now, it was really awkward. Gu Yanhao hugged Song Wuyo and looked at Maupassant. Thank you for saving my wife. Maupassant glanced at Song Wuyo and then said to Gu Yanhao, your wife is great. Gu Yanhao said, yes, she's a very good woman. Maupassant said, she almost hurt me. Gu Yanhao said, sorry, she's a very cautious person. Maupassant asked, do you need to stay here for the night? Gu Yanhao said, thank you, but I have something to do. I can't stay here for too long. Anyone who stayed in this house was a man. Maupassant said, okay. Gu Yanhao thanked Maupassant again and left Forest Village. In a jeep. Ade was in charge of driving. Gu Yanhao and Song Wuyo hugged each other and sat in the back. Song Wuyo told him about Song Juyue. Gu Yanhao was expressionless. He didn't have any sympathy at all. He put his arm around her shoulder and said, many people have to face death before they realize how much they've gone overboard. Song Wuyo pouted. If Song Joyue had realized earlier, perhaps today's incident wouldn't have happened. Do you know why? Gu Yanhao tilted his head and looked at her gently. Song Wuyo shook his head. I don't know. Because they are afraid of going to hell. They repent before they die, hoping to go to heaven. Maybe. After all, no one wanted to go to hell, but some wanted to go to heaven. Gu Yanhao. Are you hiding something from me? No. I do. Song Wuyo sat up straight and glared at him. You do. Gu Yanhao looked at her. What am I hiding from you? I'm very honest with you. Song Wuyo pinched his chest. Think about it. What are you hiding from me? Gu Yanhao was wearing a white shirt. He took off his jacket and put it on her. Song Wuyo pinched his chest. He furrowed his brows and looked at Song Wuyo. Honey, it's not good to be so rough, right? Why are you pinching my breasts? I'll pinch you awake. If you pinch me awake, you'll burn yourself. But it's okay. You're responsible for the fire and you're also responsible for putting it out. Responsible your head. Song Wuyo looked angry. Okay, honey, I'm not lying to you. I only love you. Gu Yanhao pulled her back into his arms. That's not what I'm talking about. What is it? Song Joyue told me. She said that Guijier is my biological mother, Song Wuyo said softly. Gu Yanhao's eyes narrowed when he heard that. How did Song Joyue know? I didn't ask. It seems that I'm really Guijier and Ban Dechang's daughter. Gu Yanhao, why didn't you tell me when you already knew? Silly woman, what's the use of telling you? Song Wuyo looked up at him. He lowered his eyes and looked at her affectionately. He chuckled. It doesn't matter who gave birth to you. You're the woman I love the most in my life. Young master, is there sugar in your mouth? Ade, who was driving, couldn't help but turn around and look at Gu Yanhao. Chapter 5:14. Gu Yanhao gave him a stern look right away. Drive properly. Ade wanted to drive properly as well, but he could not get used to the fact that his young master had changed from a cold image to a good husband at home. Song Wuyo was very touched. Wrapping her arms around Gu Yanhao's waist, she snuggled into his embrace and pressed her face against his chest. Song Joyue knows that I'm Guijier's daughter, so Qing Junhua must know as well, she said gloomily. If that was the case, it would be impossible for her to live a peaceful life. Gu Yanhao knew what she was thinking about and said, he won't dare to do anything to you. I hope he can stop, Song Wuyo said. She yawned. My eyelids are so heavy. Lie on me and sleep. Okay. Song Wuyo shifted her body and placed her legs flat on the seat. She rested her head on Gu Yanhao's thigh and fell asleep. Gu Yanhao lowered his head and looked at her deeply. When he asked her to lie on him to sleep, he meant that he would hug her and she would lean on his shoulder to sleep. He did not expect that she would sleep like this. With her head on his thigh, she was pressing against his private part at the same time. Before leaving the village, the road was very bumpy. The car swayed a lot. Her head and his body swayed along with it. The back of her head was rubbing against his private part, causing him to, he could not control himself and had a certain reaction. He really did not do it on purpose. He really could not control himself. After he had a reaction, her head swayed along with the bumpy car, causing his private part to swell and hurt. However, he could not bear to pull her up. This feeling was very comfortable, with a refreshing feeling. Song Wuyo was really tired. The moment she closed her eyes, she fell asleep. However, she was in a light sleep. There was something pressing against her back pocket. It was still warm and made her feel extremely uncomfortable. She raised her head and laid down again. Gu Yanhao, take your hand away. She was so tired. Couldn't he let her have a good sleep? The sudden slap made Gu Yanhao gasp. That place was even more agitated and full of pain. Hearing his gasp, Ade reflexively turned to look at him. Seeing his deep eyes full of lust, and then looking at Song Wuyo sleeping on his lap, he quickly became alert. Young master, I'll speed up. Song Wuyo opened her eyes and looked at Gu Yanhao in confusion. What did he say? Upon hearing Ade's words, he looked at Gu Yanhao nervously. Are you feeling unwell? Are you hurt? As he spoke, he tried to sit up. Just as she raised her head, the wheels rolled over a pit and the car suddenly swayed. She lost her balance and fell heavily onto the ground. Gu Yanhao sucked in another breath. He was about to spit fire from the impact. With this impact, Song Wuyo realized in hindsight that she had not slapped Gu Yanhao's hand, but his third leg. Song Wuyo seemed to be shocked by her own thoughts and quickly sat up. Looking at the part of his black trousers that looked like a parachute, her cheeks flushed red. Looking at such a passionate place, Song Wuyo was a little dumbfounded. Gu Yanhao swallowed his saliva and said in a hoarse voice, "You're making me angry." "I'm just pressing on it." That was enough to make him angry. Did it have to wake up so easily? That's all. Wifey, you're making me feel very uncomfortable. Gu Yanhao's eyes were deep like a whirlpool. Your reaction is too fast. Song Wuyo stared at him shamelessly. Chapter 5:15. How long have you been doing it? She even said that he had a fast reaction. He was still so young and strong. It would be abnormal if he didn't have a fast reaction. I didn't do it on purpose. Song Wuyo pursed her lips. Looking at his unsatisfied expression, Song Wuyo wanted to laugh. Wasn't he tired after doing it so many times in the hotel? She had only played with him lightly and he had such a big reaction. It's so uncomfortable. Gu Yanhao's voice was hoarse. Young master, do you want me to leave for a while? Ade looked at the rearview mirror carefully. Gu Yanhao glared at him again. Drive. Busybody. Ade, young master, please bear with it for a while. I'll speed up again. It was still a bumpy road. Speeding up would only make the car shake more. It didn't feel like they were going that fast. Song Wuyo looked up at Gu Yanhao. Bear with it for a while. Gu Yanhao looked at her deeply. When we get back to the hotel, I'm going to shoot like crazy. Pfft, Ade couldn't help but burst out laughing. Shoot like crazy. Young master, do you think you're shooting bullets? It seems to be more fun than shooting bullets. Ade, I'll deduct half a year's salary from you. Gu Yanhao said coldly. When Ade heard that, he gave in. Young master, please don't hold it against me. 1 year. Ade could only shut up obediently. Song Wuyo turned his head away and snickered. Sit closer. Gu Yanhao suddenly hooked her neck and pulled her closer. Your body temperature is frighteningly high. Lie down. Gu Yanhao pressed her head back on his lap. He then instructed Ade, full speed ahead. Otherwise, I'll deduct 2 years' salary from you. Okay. This boss was too ruthless, wasn't he? For that salary, Ade had no choice but to go full speed ahead. Bumpy, bumpy, very bumpy. Song Wuyo's head swayed. The thing that was pressing against the back of her head was getting harder and more excited. She could feel its heat through the fabric. When she passed through a large pit, her head was tossed up and down before falling back down. Phew! Gu Yanhao, who was leaning against the chair, suddenly stretched his neck and couldn't help but let out a comfortable sound. Hearing this, Ada's ears turned red. Song Wuyo widened her eyes and looked at him in surprise. This guy, he actually, fired like crazy. Through her hair, she could feel the stickiness at the back of her head and neck. After the comfortable feeling passed, Gu Yanhao lowered his head and looked deeply at the dazed Song Wuyo. He raised his hand and gently caressed her red face. Very obedient, he said in a low and hoarse voice. You. Song Wuyo was speechless. Close your eyes and sleep. His hoarse voice was so gentle that it melted her heart. Okay. Song Wuyo hurriedly closed her eyes. But, she couldn't fall asleep. She opened her eyes again. What's wrong? The man's gentle voice sounded in the car again. I don't feel well. She felt sticky. How could she feel comfortable? Song Wuyo sat up and tidied her hair. She lowered her head and looked at Gu Yanhao. It was so wet that she couldn't look at him directly. What should we do? Song Wuyo asked. Let's go back to the hotel and shower. The car finally left the bumpy road and got on the asphalt road that led to the city. The whole journey took less than 20 minutes. Gu Yanhao and Song Wuyo returned to the hotel. Once the door was closed, Gu Yanhao carried Song Wuyo into the bathroom to shower. An hour later. Song Wuyo lay on the bed softly. She was not wearing any clothes. Her hair that had been blown dry was like black silk on her fair back. She looked like a demure and gentle woman in a painting. Chapter 5:16. Gu Yanhao, who was wearing a bathrobe, sat in front of the bed and looked at her well-defined back. His eyes were deep and serene. He used his fingers to gently push aside her black hair. The black hair slowly fell to the sides, extremely smooth. There was no black silk on it, so what was exposed was a very deep scar. This was caused by her falling on a tree branch and hanging on it for so long. Not only was there a scar on her back, but there was also a scar on her front. Looking at this red bruise, Gu Yanhao's deep eyes flashed with a touch of heartache. His palm, along this bruise, gently stroked and caressed it. The itchiness caused Song Wuyo to tremble again and again. I'll apply medicine for you, Gu Yanhao said in a low voice. Okay. Song Wuyo responded lazily. After taking off her clothes in the bathroom, Gu Yanhao found a few bruises on her body. He washed these bruises with warm water for a long time, and then asked Ade to buy some ointment back. He held the ointment bottle in one hand and applied the ointment on her scar with the other. I couldn't protect you well and let you get hurt. I'm very ashamed. Gu Yanhao's eyes were deep. You have your career. You can't always be by my side, right? I'll feel bored like this. It's not fun. Song Wuyo laughed. You're so seriously injured. Do you think it's fun? Gu Yanhao said coldly. This kind of injury is nothing to me. You're a woman. Women can also bear a lot. Then what does your husband do? Song Wuyo turned her head and looked at him with a smile. To accompany, chat, and roll in the sheets. I like the last sentence. Stud horse. You know this word too. After staying with you for so long, it slowly becomes dirty. Gu Yanhao smiled dotingly. My wife is dirty. I like it. But you can only be dirty to me. You're not allowed to dirty other men. Song Wuyo looked at him with a smile. I won't. I'll only defile you. Gu Yanhao gently pressed on the bruised area. Does it hurt? Song Wuyo nodded. A little. Gu Yanhao's eyes were filled with pity. Compared to being able to return to your side, I don't care about this pain at all. Okay. Gu Yanhao lowered his head and continued to help her apply the ointment. After he was done, he said, turn around. Song Wuyo blushed. The one in front, I'll do it myself. Gu Yanhao stared at her coldly. Stop being so pretentious. Turn around. Song Wuyo, I'll blush and my heart will race. If you don't blush and your heart doesn't race, then you're dead. Turn around quickly. If you don't, I'll do it myself. Song Wuyo pursed her lips and slowly turned around. Her face was extremely red. Her heart was beating fast. Her eyes were extremely shy. Gu Yanhao's gaze fell on the bruise under the 2 lumps of flesh. He squeezed out the ointment and applied it. However, his ears were already unusually red. Although he did not look directly at it, he could still see her perky breasts clearly from the corner of his eyes. Round and perky, with a perfect shape, it really made him want to bite and rub it. When he was applying the ointment, his hand touched her from time to time. It felt good to the touch. The warmth of his hand made Song Wuyo even more shy. Gu Yanhao glanced at her and saw that her face could not be any redder. There were small beads of sweat on her forehead. Her shy look was charming and cute. He asked, "Are you nervous?" He bent down to apply the ointment. His warm breath sprayed on her skin as if he was bending down to admire her breasts. How could she not be nervous and blush? Yes, I'm quite nervous. Song Wuyo said honestly. Chapter 5:17. She was so nervous that her breathing was irregular and her heart was pounding. Gu Yanhao looked very focused as he helped her apply the ointment. I'm not going to eat you, why are you so nervous? You're already full, of course you're saying this. After applying the ointment, Gu Yanhao covered her with a blanket. Then he went to wash his hands. After washing his hands, he came back to the bed and lay down beside Song Wuyo. He reached out and hugged her. The 2 of them lay face to face. They looked at each other, one pair of eyes as gentle as water, while the other pair of beautiful eyes as sweet as sugar. Hubby, it's so good to be able to return to your side. Song Wuyo's fair hand gently touched Gu Yanhao's face. She could never get enough of looking at this face. You once told me that good deeds accumulate blessings, I finally understand. Gu Yanhao looked at her gently. God has let you return to my side, I want to be grateful. Yes, let's be grateful together. Song Wuyo smiled. It's so good to have you by my side. Gu Yanhao pinched her pink cheeks. I'm really afraid that I won't be able to see you again this time. I promised you that no matter what kind of environment or danger I'll encounter, I'll first protect my own life. I'm afraid that you'll be eaten by a beast and not even your physical body will be left. What if your soul transmigrates back to the X dynasty through this incident and then transmigrates back and can't find your physical body? What a profound question. Song Wuyo rubbed his face. Hubby, you're thinking too much. Gu Yanhao looked at her seriously. What if it happens? What do you want me to do? Song Wuyo stuck out her tongue playfully and asked, Hubby, if I'm really eaten by a beast this time, will you still marry me in the future? Gu Yanhao's face darkened. If you're eaten by a beast, why should I marry you? He turned over and pressed her under his body. He smiled naughtily. I'm a beast and I'm going to eat you now. Not for you. Song Wuyo put her hands on his chest and giggled. You wolf, I'm going to make you hungry. I'm a wild wolf, I want to eat you, I want to eat you. The two of them were fooling around, and they started to make love again. In the middle of the night, both of their stomachs were rumbling with hunger, so they asked the hotel to send them food. After eating, both of them lay on the bed and fell asleep. He slept all the way until dawn. After washing up, they planned to spend a day in France before returning to M City. When the elevator reached the first floor, Song Woo-yo had just stepped out of the elevator when Su Jing threw herself at her and hugged her tightly. She cried, "Miss, you scared me to death. When I woke up, Lu Jiming said that you were pushed into the forest by Mississippi. I thought you were eaten by wild beasts. When I came back, I checked on the internet. There are many wild animals in that forest. Because the country protects it, the wild animals are still very fierce. Miss, I've been crying all night. Half an hour ago, I heard from Ade that you're back. Woo-woo, it's great that you didn't get eaten by a wild beast. Woo-woo." Su Jing was sobbing with tears and snot. She was very sad. Okay, I have a big wild beast by my side. Would other wild beasts dare to eat me? Song Woo-yo patted Su Jing's back to comfort her. Su Jing said vaguely, "Big wild beast. Miss, when you fell, there was a big wild beast by your side to protect you, so other wild beasts didn't dare to come close to you, right? Oh, I know, you're just like the female lead of King Kong. You have a gorilla protecting you, so other animals can't get close to you even if they want to hurt you." Song Woo-yo had never seen King Kong before, but after hearing Su Jing's words, she roughly understood what she meant. She looked at Gu Yenhao meaningfully and nodded. "Yes, I'm just like that female lead." Chapter 518. Miss, are you hurt? Su Jing had cried enough. She let go of Song Woo-yo and looked at her up and down. Song Woo-yo smiled and said, "No." Then she looked at Lu Jiming who was standing behind Su Jing. The man's eyes were red. He must have cried for her like Su Jing last night. Now seeing that she was alive, he was so excited that his eyes were even redder. "I'm sorry to make you worry," Song Woo-yo said with shame. "Madam, it's great that you are alive." Lu Jiming suppressed the excitement in his heart. "Yes, it's great that Miss is alive." Su Jing smiled foolishly. "Your eyes are red and swollen." Song Woo-yo looked at Su Jing and Lu Jiming with amusement. "How can it not be red and swollen? We hugged each other and cried for the whole night." Hugged each other. Song Woo-yo looked at them in surprise. "Are you in love?" Hearing this, Su Jing blushed and stomped her feet. "No." Lu Jiming glanced at Su Jing, and a light flashed through his eyes. "It's a good thing to be in love. I only bless you and won't laugh at you." Song Woo-yo looked at Su Jing. "Let's go eat together. Have fun today and go back to M City tomorrow." Song Woo-yo knew that Song Nan was not in the company, so she came to the villa to find him. Today, Song Nan felt a pain in his heart, so he was on vacation and resting at home. Seeing Song Woo-yo, he didn't give Song Woo-yo a good look. He sat on the sofa like a master and looked at her sternly. "What are you doing here?" "I went to the Song Enterprise to find you. The front desk said that you didn't go back to the company, so I came here to find you," Song Woo-yo said. Song Nan glanced at her coldly. His eyes were full of disgust. "Are you not feeling well?" Song Woo-yo was purely out of concern for her father as a daughter. But Song Nan didn't think so. He glared at Song Woo-yo. "Don't worry. I'm very strong. I didn't go to the company because the company was too idle recently. I had time to rest at home. All of this is thanks to you." Ching Junhua began to withdraw his investment, and the Song enterprise was in a deadlock. The client that he had previously negotiated with also suddenly stopped working with him, and there were problems with the operation. He knew that the Song enterprise was facing bankruptcy again. Song Wuyo found it funny. I've never asked about the business of the Song enterprise. Whether the business is good or not has nothing to do with me. How is it because of me? Song Wuyo, you're really ruthless. Song Nan suddenly looked sharply at Song Wuyo. How can you say this? Our Song family has raised you for so many years. How dare you expose Zhou Yu in front of so many media during that competition in France? She was also kept in the dark about this matter. It was Gu Yanhao's arrangement. He should have known that Song Zhouyue had stolen her work to participate in the competition. Dad, don't call me Dad. When Song Nan heard Song Wuyo call him Dad, he felt disgusted. He suddenly became agitated and glared at Song Wuyo coldly. You're not my daughter. Song Wuyo was stunned by his shout. You're the child of that bitch Yang Xiaolan and that wild man. Song Nan was so angry that his neck turned red and thick at the thought of helping someone else raise his daughter for so long. Song Wuyo looked at Song Nan quietly and frowned slightly. He was so agitated that she didn't dare to tell him about Song Zhouyue's death. What are you doing here? Song Nan suddenly said coldly and mockingly, you know that I have a heart condition. Are you here to anger me? Song Wuyo took a breath and said softly, Zhouyue asked me to come and see you. As soon as he heard Song Zhouyue, Song Nan calmed down a little and asked anxiously, is she still in France? Chapter 5:19. Is she still in France? What is she doing there? I saw the live broadcast of the competition. She must be very sad, right? Song Wuyo looked at Song Nan silently. His love for Song Zhouyue was very strong. If he had given her a little bit of this love, she would not have suffered so much when she was young. Song Nan did not notice the slight change in Song Wuyo's expression and continued, that silly child, can't she use her own work for the competition? Why must she use yours? Isn't this damaging her own reputation and making you famous? Song Wuyo, tell me, where is Zhouyue now? Why didn't she come back and ask you to come see me? I don't believe that your relationship is so good that she would ask you to come see me. I've been calling her for the past 2 days, but she didn't pick up. God knows how worried I was. It was because he was so worried that his heart hurt, so he had to rest at home today. The news of Song Zhouyue stealing Song Wuyo's work for the competition blew up in M City. Cheng Junhua withdrew his investment, and Song Corporation stock fell to the bottom. Today, when the market opened, it fell to the bottom again. Song Wuyo wanted to say something, but stopped. What happened to her? Song Nan suddenly felt uneasy. He looked straight at Song Wuyo and asked, did something happen to her? Otherwise, with his daughter's personality, why would she ask Song Wuyo to come back to see him, her father, when she hated Song Wuyo so much? Zhouyue asked you to take care of yourself, Song Wuyo said. Tell me, where is she now? Song Nan slammed the table and stood up. He shouted at Song Wuyo angrily, don't beat around the bush here. What happened to my daughter? Song Wuyo frowned slightly. How could she tell him when he was so agitated? Song Nan caught the hesitation on Song Wuyo's face. He was shocked and stared at Song Wuyo. Zhouyue, she. Did something happen to her? You have to calm down. Song Wuyo looked at Song Nan deeply. When Song Nan heard this, his expression changed drastically. Did something really happen to her? Song Wuyo pursed her lips and did not say anything. Did she do something stupid and kill herself? Song Nan suddenly shouted at Song Wuyo. She was killed in the forest. Song Wuyo really didn't want to hide it from him. She did not want to agitate Song Nan. He had a heart condition. But she couldn't possibly hide it from him for the rest of her life, right? Whether he found out later or earlier, he had to find out. As for Song Nan's heart, it would only get worse as he grew older. Killed. When Song Nan heard this, his entire body shook. His ears and brain buzzed. Met with danger. What do you mean? She went to heaven, Song Wuyo said carefully. No matter how soft her voice was, it was like a bolt from the blue to Song Nan. Song Nan felt as if he had been hit in the head with a bat as he slumped onto the sofa. His precious daughter actually went to heavenly state. Oh. Song Nan suddenly burst into tears. He suddenly lost his fierce image. Now, he was just a sad father who had lost his child. Oh. He cried until his body shook. His voice was filled with grief. Juyue, my precious daughter, Song Nan suddenly seemed to be on steroids as he pointed at Song Wuyo and screamed at the top of his lungs, "It's you! It's you, you bastard, who killed my daughter! Song Wuyo, you psychopath! Why didn't you die? It was my Juyue." Chapter 520. Song Wuyo looked at Song Nan quietly with a complicated look in her eyes. Although kinship was important, she had lived in fear in the Song family for so many years. They had never treated her as family. It had always been like this. No matter what happened, they would always blame it on her. Even Song Juyue's death was blamed on her. "I'm sorry for your loss." Song Wuyo looked at Song Nan deeply. "Since I promised Juyue to take good care of you, I won't leave you alone. Get lost." Song Nan wanted to strangle Song Wuyo to death whenever he saw her. "You, take care of yourself." Song Wuyo turned around and walked out. "Stop!" Song Nan suddenly shouted again. Song Wuyo stopped and turned around to look at Song Nan. "I want to see Juyue for the last time. Have her bones been brought back?" Song Nan's eyes were filled with grief and hatred for Song Wuyo. Song Wuyo pursed her lips. "No bones." Song Nan's expression changed. "What do you mean? Juyue, tell me clearly." Song Wuyo wanted to tell a lie so that Song Nan's heart wouldn't hurt so much. But before she could finish, Song Nan roared again, interrupting her. She couldn't think of a better lie. "Hurry up and say it." Seeing her hesitate, the grieving Song Nan was unable to restrain his anger. She was eaten by a lion in the forest. There are no bones left. Song Wuyo finished in one breath. Ah! Song Nan's heart suddenly hurt when he heard that. His face and lips turned purple. He clutched his aching chest with one hand and collapsed on the sofa. His breathing was erratic, and his body was twitching and trembling. Song Wuyo saw it and hurried forward. "Dad! Old Master Song!" Song Nan was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. The doctor told Song Wuyo that the patient's condition was not ideal and asked her to prepare for his funeral. Song Wuyo walked into the intensive care unit in a dustproof suit. Song Nan was lying on the gurney, wearing an oxygen mask and having his trachea plugged in. His expression was strange, and the instrument beside him was beeping. "Mrs. Gu." A male doctor walked over from another room and stood beside Song Wuyo. "I'm here to see him." Song Wuyo glanced at the doctor and said, "Okay." The doctor nodded. Song Wuyo approached the bed. At this time, Song Nan slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot. Looking at him now, he was no longer robust, but weak and haggard. Her bloodshot eyes could not hide the grief and sorrow of losing her daughter. When he saw Song Woo-yo, his fingers twitched. His lips under the oxygen mask moved slightly. His gaze seemed to have something to say to Song Woo-yo. If you have anything to say, say it after you've recovered. Song Woo-yo looked at his expression and knew that he had something to say to her. She thought that he was scolding her. If he was really scolding her, she should save it and take care of herself before scolding him. Song Nan slowly raised his hand and suddenly pulled off the oxygen mask. His breathing was rapid. When the doctor beside him saw this, he panicked and quickly went forward to persuade him. Mr. Song, your condition is serious. You can't not wear an oxygen mask. Please wear it. Song Nan completely ignored the doctor's persuasion. His gaze was locked on Song Woo-yo's face. Song Woo-yo bent down and looked at him. Hurry up and say it. Wear an oxygen mask when you speak. Take care of yourself. I know. I know that I'm about to die, don't talk nonsense. Song Woo-yo's gaze darkened. If you can, just, take care of the Song Corporation, for the sake of me, taking care of you.
Chapter 521. Song Woo-yo nodded and smiled. Ah-ho has started to invest in the Song enterprise. Get well and go back to manage it. Then. I'm relieved, take care of yourself. Don't worry too much about the company. Song Woo-yo comforted him. After I leave, don't hold a funeral, Mr. Song, you'll get better. Mr. Song. What a terrible name. I'll. Before Song Nan finished, his hand holding the oxygen mask fell to the side and he closed his eyes. At this time, the heartbeat machine sounded. The curve on the screen became a straight line. The doctor saw this and hurried to resuscitate Song Nan. But it was useless. He looked at Song Woo-yo seriously. Mrs. Gu, Mr. Song is gone. Hearing this, Song Woo-yo suddenly felt that the whole space was filled with a kind of sadness and desolation. Song Woo-yo followed Song Nan's instructions and did not hold a funeral. After his death, he was cremated and buried. Because Song Jo-yue's body was not left, Song Woo-yo buried her with the dress designed by Song Jo-yue for the first time, hoping that she could rest in peace. After everything was done, Song Woo-yo was not idle. She and Gu Yenhao sat on the rocking chair on the balcony of the bedroom. She told Gu Yenhao that she was going to replace Song Nan in the Song enterprise. After hearing this, Gu Yenhao looked at her and frowned. Song Nan was the president of the Song enterprise when he was alive. If you replace him, do you want to be the president? Song Woo-yo, I don't care about the position. I promised them that I would protect the Song enterprise. Gu Yenhao, I can buy the Song enterprise and manage it together with the Gu clan. Honey, I don't agree to let you join the Gu clan because I don't want you to be too tired. But if you insist on going, I won't agree to let you go now. Song Woo-yo hugged him, almost lying on his body, and said coquettishly, hubby, let me go. I've already promised them that the dead are more important. You will be very tired and your body can't bear it. Gu Yenhao's narrow phoenix eyes were full of concern for her. Do you think a woman who stays at home all day and doesn't work, shopping or playing cards every day isn't tired? A leisurely life can be tiring. Gu Yenhao raised his eyebrows. Of course I'm tired. Empty and tired, lonely and tired. This kind of tiredness is not something a workaholic like you can understand. Song Woo-yo looked up at Gu Yenhao with her beautiful eyes. Let me try, okay? Gu Yenhao pursed his lips slightly. He recalled that she had been locked up in the cold palace for 3 years. During those 3 years, her life should have been leisurely. Even if she was an abandoned concubine, there were palace maids to serve her when she ate and changed her clothes. She didn't need to do anything. But that kind of life was the most bitter and unbearable for a woman. Gu Yanhao looked deeply at Song Wuyo with his dark eyes.
He pursed his thin lips and asked, "Do you really want to manage the Song enterprise?" Song Wuyo's eyes sparkled, and there was a trace of determination in them. "Yes, I want to go to the Song enterprise." Gu Yanhao chuckled. "First, you don't know foreign languages. Second, you don't know how to do business. How can you manage the Song enterprise? Can you do foreign languages and do business when you are born?" Song Wuyo pouted and asked. "Honey, if you learn these things, you will be very tired. I'm afraid your body can't bear it. We are making a baby now." Gu Yanhao gently put his warm big palm on her flat belly and said softly, "If you have a baby, I can't bear to see you tired." Chapter 522. You're lying with your eyes wide open. You make me ache all over every night. Why haven't I heard that you're reluctant? Song Wuyo looked at this handsome man with disdain. Aren't I still working hard to sow seeds? Gu Yanhao said in a low voice. If I work hard, I'll only feel that I'm living a good life. I won't be tired. Song Wuyo turned over and lay on Gu Yanhao's body. She held his delicate face with both hands and said coquettishly, "Hubby, let me go to the Song enterprise, okay?" Her soft body was in his arms, and his nose was filled with her faint body fragrance. Gu Yanhao's eyes were deep. "You can go to the Song enterprise, but you have to promise me, I promise you." Gu Yanhao looked at her with a faint smile. "I haven't finished yet, and you're in such a hurry. What do you promise me?" "I promise you that I won't tire myself out and starve myself." "Ah ho, don't worry. I'm not a 3-year-old child. I'll rest when I'm tired, and I'll eat when I'm hungry." Gu Yanhao pressed her beautiful body with both hands and smiled charmingly. "I'm not talking about this." Song Wuyo was stunned and blinked in confusion. "What is it?" "Let's play a game every night." Gu Yanhao's long and narrow phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. After a faint smile, they looked very thin. If one looked carefully, there seemed to be a magical power in it that could suck people in. Especially when he melted into the night, he was like a god, full of mystery. When Song Wuyo heard this, her face suddenly turned red. "Evil. If you promise me, I'll promise you." "Gu Yanhao, you're evil." Song Wuyo scolded. "You keep saying that you don't want me to be tired and want me to be on top." Gu Yanhao was in a good mood. Seeing her blushing and cute appearance, his delicate handsome face was full of smiles. He twitched his waist a few times, and the rocking chair shook violently. Song Wuyo hugged his neck tightly. "You're on top. Didn't I use force?" Gu Yanhao said in a low voice. "I've decided to live apart from you. I want to stay away from an evil person like you." Song Wuyo said with a red face. Although that was what she said, the body lying on top of Gu Yanhao did not move at all. "Your perverted body and greedy heart don't really think that way." Gu Yanhao joked. Song Wuyo looked up and glared at Gu Yanhao. "Your body is perverted, but your heart is greedy. Honey, shall we try it on the rocking chair?" "That's it. I'll be at the bottom and you'll be at the top." "No." Song Wuyo wanted to resist. Gu Yanhao's sturdy arms restrained her. His voice was hoarse. At this time, a woman's mouth says no, but her body wants it. Reality proved that Song Wuyo's resistance was futile. In the end, they played a game where young Master Gu was below and Miss Song was above. Madame G. Air stood in front of the window in a thin white dress. Her long hair reached her waist. She paid attention to her image, but now she was very haggard. Looking closely, there were scars of different depths on her arms and neck. She looked like this, and it was easy to feel that she was a victim of domestic violence. In fact, this was the case. These few days, Pain did not let her go out. He locked her in the room and she could not even take half a step out of the room. The servants would send up food. At night, Pain would come back and violently ravage her. Otherwise, they would be beaten up violently, punched and kicked, and beaten to death. This was the first time she faced domestic violence since she and Pain became husband and wife. Bang! The bedroom door opened and then slammed shut. The sound made Madame G's heart clench. Before she could turn around, her hair was pulled at the back. Her scalp felt like it was being peeled, and her whole head began to hurt. You still haven't figured it out? Guadje, tell me. Why did you get close to me and ask me to marry you? Madame G's eyes were empty. There was no pain or resentment. She looked at Pain quietly for a moment and suddenly smiled bitterly. I'm vain, okay. Pain stared at Guadje ruthlessly. You'd better tell me the truth, or I'll kill your daughter immediately. When Guadje heard this, his face changed. No. Please don't hurt Wuyo. Tell me. Pain shouted angrily. Chapter 523. Wuyo is my and Ban Dechang's child. Guadje looked at Pain calmly. You actually betrayed me. Guadje, aren't you afraid of death? Pain threw Guadje to the side. Guadje fell to the ground so hard that her knees hurt. Guadje supported herself with both hands and smiled bitterly. Her eyes were filled with despair. That was before we got married. How did I betray you? Pain suddenly turned around, his sharp eyes bloodshot. After Ban Dechang died, what are your intentions for marrying me? Guadje lowered her head, a hint of hatred flashing across her eyes. This hatred was not towards Pain, but her younger brother, Jinshin. 23 years ago, when Guadje met Ban Dechang, his ex-wife had already passed away. It was said that she had a difficult birth and could not be saved in time. At this time, as the president, he was preparing to marry the mayor's daughter. She and her good sister, Yang Xiaolan, both came from ordinary families, but they had one thing in common, which was that they had a beautiful face and a beautiful figure. Guadje was studious and smart. She worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She did not meet the president often, but every time she saw him, her heart would palpitate. She liked this steady and charismatic man. By chance, Guadje saw Ban Dechang talking on the phone alone in the corridor outside the office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She hugged the documents and stood there, looking at him for a long time. When the other party finished the phone call and turned around, he saw a young and beautiful woman holding a document and smiling brightly at him. Ban Dechang was attracted by her flower-like smile and was slightly distracted. Guadje mustered up his courage and walked over with a heart that was beating rapidly and incomparably nervous. Mr. President, I like you. Because I like you, I pay special attention to your situation. I know that you are currently single and have a son who is almost 1 year old. But I still like you and want to marry you even in my dreams. I know it's ridiculous, but if I don't tell you these things, I'll feel suffocated. After saying that, she did not dare to look at Ban Dechang's expression and turned to leave. A week later, she received a call from Ban Dechang. Just like that, they started dating. Because Ban Dechang was calm to the outside world, he would marry the mayor's daughter. Therefore, they could only meet in secret. The president was also human and had emotions and desires. Ever since Ban Dechang's wife passed away, he had never touched a woman. After getting together with Guadje, he liked Guijiere's smell and body. Guijiere likes Ban Dekhang, and as long as she can be his woman, she does not mind being his secret lover. While Ban Dekhang and the mayor's daughter were preparing for their wedding, Guijiere was sad. But there was no other way. The president was the president after all. He had to be responsible for his own promises. After Ban Dekhang got married, he couldn't bear to let go of his relationship with Guijiere, so they maintained a shameful relationship. Half a month after Ban Dekhang got married, Guijiere found out that she was pregnant. She told Ban Dekhang the news, but Ban Dekhang did not ask her to abort the child. Instead, he asked her to give birth to it. The child was born prematurely, and she gave Ban Dekhang a daughter. 4 months after the child was born, Madam President came looking for him. Guijiere thought that this elegant young lady would quarrel with her and scold her for being shameless. No, Madam President told her to send the child away if she wanted to continue being with Ban Dekhang. Madam President revealed her true feelings, saying that her marriage with Ban Dekhang was completely arranged by her parents. In fact, she already had a man she liked. Chapter 524. Unfortunately, that man had passed away at an untimely age and left her. She married Ban Dekhang for politics, not love. And she knew about Guijiere's existence because Ban Dekhang had confessed to her. They respected each other, but once the president got married, he couldn't get a divorce easily. The president's wife asked Guijiere to send the child away because she didn't want to cause any trouble. It would be bad for his reputation if others found out that the president had a child with another woman. Guijiere listened to the president's wife and gave the child to her good sister, Yang Xiaolan. When she sent the child to Yang Xiaolan, she found out that Yang Xiaolan's daughter had died young. Yang Xiaolan wanted to use the child to support her and took in Guijiere's daughter. Guijiere's daughter was born prematurely. She was 3 months old and was about the same as a 1-month-old child. Therefore, when Song Nan returned from his business trip in England and saw the child in Yang Xiaolan's arms again, he couldn't see through it. After carrying the child to Yang Xiaolan, the president's wife brought Guijiere to the presidential palace. Seeing that the president's wife treated her so well, Guijiere felt ashamed and didn't dare to be with Ban Dekhang anymore. She lived with the president as a maid. Ban Dekhang must have seen that his wife was generous and finally fell in love with her. Meanwhile, Guijiere and the president's wife fell in love with each other over time. They talked about everything and were like sisters in the end. Later, the president's wife was pregnant. She gave birth to a cute and healthy son for Ban Dekhang. Everyone knew that Ban Dekhang had 2 sons. One was left behind by his ex-wife, and the other was given birth to by his current wife. The president's wife treated the son left behind by his ex-wife very well and treated him as her own. Guijiere was moved by the president's tolerance. She started to learn from the president's wife in her words and actions. She hoped that she could be like the president's wife, ambitious and not care about the unclear feelings between men and women. She was the president's wife's personal maid in the presidential palace and lived here for more than 5 years. She no longer had an affair with Ban Dekhang. At this moment, Yang Xiaolan was hospitalized because of cancer. She went to the hospital to visit Yang Xiaolan. Yang Xiaolan told her that Song Nan would bring her daughter back to the Song family and live like a daughter. She told her not to worry. She also told her not to think about her daughter anymore and to find a good home for herself. Guijiere was very sad to see Yang Xiaolan become skin and bones because of her illness. When she was sick, Song Nan only came to take away their common daughter and never came to visit Yang Xiaolan again. In order to not let Yang Xiaolan be lonely, she stayed in the hospital and Yang Xiaolan's home to accompany her to the end of her life. After Madam President found out that Guijiere and Yang Xiaolan were good sisters, she even paid for Yang Xiaolan's treatment. She advised Guijier not to be sad and told her to spend more time with her good sister. Just as Guijier was staying at Yang Xiaolan's house to accompany her to the end of her life, K country suddenly changed. One night, the presidential palace was blown up, and the entire world changed. When he saw the news, Guijier felt as if he had been blown up. 3 of his 7 souls had disappeared. Less than half a month after the incident, Vice President Qing Jinxin officially became the president of K country. Rumor had it that Ban Dekhang was assassinated. But no one dared to prove who it was. After the presidential palace exploded, Guijier learned from the police that the police did not find the child's bones inside. Later, she found out that her eldest son had gone missing and her youngest son had been sent to a mental hospital. Guijier suspected that Qing Jinxin had killed Ban Dekhang. She knew that Qing Jinxin's brother, Qing Jianpain, was sad because he had lost his wife in a car accident, so she deliberately got close to Qing Jianpain. She hoped that through Qing Jianpain, she would have a chance to get close to Qing Jinxin and then kill him to avenge Ban Dekhang and Madam President. Not to mention that she had once had a relationship with the president, just seeing that Madam President treated her as a sister made her heart ache. After she married Qing Jianpain, she quickly got pregnant and gave birth to Qing Junhua. Soon, she got pregnant with Qing Junshan at the end of the year. This year, she gave birth to 2 sons for Qing Jianpain. Qing Jianpain treated her very well and treated her like a treasure. She looked at her 2 cute sons and then looked at her good husband. Guijier wavered. Gradually, she no longer wanted to avenge Ban Dekhang. She also no longer cared about the daughter she raised in the Song family. Chapter 525. As the child grew up day by day, the son by her side became smarter day by day. The reputation of the daughter raised by the Song family became worse and worse. She saw photos of her on the internet. She wore heavy makeup and had no taste at all. She had no temperament and was very ugly. She even suspected that the child was not her daughter. When Ban Dekhang was in power, it was wrong to have a relationship with her. But as the president, he was dutiful and never had any nepotism between corrupt officials and the Dragon Palace. When it came to Qing Jinxin, he used his power as the president to appoint his nephew Qing Junhua as the next president. His adopted daughter did things even more indulgently. Even Qing Junhua arranged a position for him as soon as he turned 17. Although Qing Junhua was not Guijier's biological son, he had always been very cold to her, his stepmother. But Guijier had always been very good to him. She would also give him 2 days of her son. Seeing that Qing Jinxin treated his son so well and valued him so much, Guijier's hatred for him gradually faded and she no longer thought about revenge. She felt that no matter how good Ban Dekhang was, he only gave her a relationship. No matter how good the First Lady treated her, it was not family. And what the Qing family gave her was warmth, the warmth of a family, and her sons. Moreover, when outsiders saw her, they would respectfully call her Madam Qing or Madam Jier. She was enjoying this more and more. She also wanted to grow old with Qing Jianpain, but she did not expect things to turn out like this. Ever since she married Qing Jianpain, he had been very protective of her and could never bear to speak to her loudly. Even her eldest son, who had always been cold to her, would call her mother. Her life in the Qing family was like heaven. But these few days, Qing Jianpain pushed her to hell. She looked up at Qing Jianpain with tears in her eyes and said, "I am a vain woman. I was with Ban Dekhang because I wanted to be the First Lady. But he had a wife and children, so it was impossible for him to give me a title. After he died, I got close to you. You are really a vain woman." Qing Jianpain was so angry that his whole body trembled. He looked at Guijier coldly and maliciously. The wife he had always doted on actually had a relationship with Ban Dekhang. Ridiculous. Extremely ridiculous. Guigiere nodded. Thinking back to the past, she felt complicated and wanted to cry. Her tears would not stop flowing. Yes. Her voice was choked with sobs. I'm a vain woman. After marrying you, I enjoyed the treatment of Madame Qing very much. For the sake of the children, she would not tell him the reason why she wanted to get close to him. If he and his brother found out that she came to the Qing family with the intention of revenge, not only would she be in danger, but Song Wuyo and her 2 children would also be in danger. If the president finds out that you were once Ban Dechang's woman, you'll die a horrible death. Not only will you die a horrible death, but you will also implicate Jun Guo and Jun Shan. Guigiere, if you affect the future of my 3 sons, I will not forgive you. Qing Jianpain angrily stared at her and said. His eyes were burning with flames. Guigiere's body trembled uncontrollably. You're on your own. If the news reaches the president, you'll go to hell with your daughter. With that, Qing Jianpain stormed out of the room. Guigiere raised his head and looked at his back. Tears flowed down his cheeks silently. His heart felt as if it was being ruthlessly squeezed by a hand. It was so painful that he couldn't breathe. Chapter 526. Gu Yanhao's car stops in front of the Song Enterprises building. You really don't need me to send you in. Gu Yanhao looks at Song Wuyo gently. No, I can do it myself. Song Wuyo smiles. Her face is full of collagen. She likes a confident smile, which is particularly charming. Honey, I like your confident and brilliant face. Gu Yanhao raises his hand and caresses her beautiful face. Song Wuyo jokes, I'm not an employee of the Gu clan when I come to the Song Enterprise. Will you still pay me? No, I will sue you for breach of contract. You suddenly jumped ship to the Song Enterprise. Stingy. Song Wuyo goes to push the car door. Wait a minute. Gu Yanhao suddenly stops her. What's the matter? Song Wuyo turns around and looks at him with a smile in her eyes. Kiss me. Gu Yanhao moves his face closer. Song Wuyo has no choice but to kiss him on the face. Gu Yanhao looks at her affectionately. His voice is low and sweet. If there's anything, call me. Song Wuyo smiles sweetly. Okay. If someone bullies you, you can't hide it. Now, except for you, who dares to bully me? Song Wuyo chuckles. That's right. Gu Yanhao leans over and pecks her soft lips. His sweet voice rings in her ear. Go in. Don't be late on your first day as the president. Okay. Song Wuyo's cheeks are slightly red. She pushes the car door open and gets off. Gu Yanhao's car is reluctant to leave. He is in the car, looking at the figure going in with gentle eyes. Today, Song Wuyo wore a light gray bat-sleeved knitted sweater, a dark gray cropped pants, and a pair of fashionable white shoes. With her hair tied up in a bun, she gave off a very refreshing feeling. As soon as she walked into the Song conglomerate, the secretary waiting at the front desk hurried forward with a professional smile and said respectfully, "Good morning, Manager Song." Song Nan was buried without a funeral, but the other chairmen of the Song Enterprise all went to see him off. In front of Song Nan's grave, Song Wuyo told the director that she would be the president of the Song Enterprise and manage the company on behalf of Song Nan. Song Wuyo replied to the secretary with a smile, "Morning." Her smile was like 100 flowers blooming, and the secretary was stunned. "Manager Song, I've prepared the documents for the board meeting. The meeting starts at 10 o'clock. The secretary and Song Wuyo entered the elevator. "I want to familiarize myself with each part, so that everyone can familiarize themselves with me first," Song Wuyo said. The secretary nodded. Okay, Manager Song. The secretary took Song Woo-yo to each department to familiarize herself with the environment, and let the employees know that there was a new president. Song Nan's death was very low-key. Except for the directors and the senior management, the employees didn't know that the president was replaced. When the secretary introduced Song Woo-yo as their new president, the employees were in an uproar. Their company actually had a new female CEO, and she looked very young. After familiarizing herself with the departments, the meeting started. The directors all arrived at the meeting. Song Woo-yo sat in the president's seat, listening to the director's report on the company's recent situation. The Song enterprise was once facing bankruptcy. Gu Yenhao injected 500 million yuan in the name of Song Woo-yo. With enough money, the company's operation gradually returned to the normal track. And the directors all knew that Song Woo-yo was Gu Yenhao's wife. Without asking, they knew that the 500 million yuan Song Woo-yo brought was given by Gu Yenhao. Some of the experienced and astute directors saw Song Woo-yo's innocent appearance and began to have ideas about her. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.